discussing our thoughts on organizational culture, which types of culture we experience in the workplace, like positive or negative, entertaining.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess I can start. I work in a baseball stadium, so it's minor league. So we have a lot of traditions that kind of go with ours. I remember our opening day, it was kind of a stretch. When I walked in, all the lights were off and they just started chucking balls at me. So it's like really fun stuff going on here. So I think the lots of positive, like kind of organizational culture here and rights of enhancement and stuff like that.
Yeah, as far as that goes, from my experience in working, I've been working since I was 16, pretty much almost every day. Um, but in my opinion, all the leaders throughout the organization, like the book said, is going to, really play a role in how your job is and the environment and all of that. It could be, they can make it totally positive or totally negative. And it definitely plays a role in all of that. Their power in their leadership roles, the way they use their language to get their messages through to you. It can all have a positive or negative effect. But I mean, my job right now is it really it's a fun job, and they make it that way because how the leaders shape everything and how all their dialect and tones are used, their morals, their values. So it's just about the way they use their power that kind of sets the tone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I work for Starbucks, so we're completely about culture and kind of belonging, and they set a tone for really having a balance for a corporation just because they are so structured and they really tell you exactly what to do with everything. But at the same time, they really care about their partners and their employees.
Mhm.
You can see that through like management. I mean, like anything though, like I've worked for the company for I think 11 years. It'll be 12 years pretty soon. And I've had managers that have made it so horrible. But that's
Yeah.
just how any job is that, you could set up the foundation for an organization and have a message, but how your leaders are the ones that are really living it or breathing it. And you could tell when people don't want to be there and when things
Mhm.
are not part of the goal or even
Yeah, I feel like Starbucks would be tough because it's such a stressful environment. People going in and out so quick. So I feel like it'd be easy for like leaders to just snap on you, managers, just when they're stressed out. So I feel like that would be tough.
Yeah, managers make or break it because customers are just difficult in general. So that kind
Mhm.
of is the difficult part. But if you have a difficult manager, then you're really going to have
Yeah.
issues and troubles because you're there all the time, and then you're already dealing with so many different types of people.
Yeah.
So it makes the biggest difference. And
And I feel like that all just goes back to how it's organized and how they use their power probably to influence it. Just like I said, their morals and stuff. Working at a place like a Starbucks or something like that, it all depends on what kind of responsibilities they take and their ethics that they use. In my opinion, as far as like setting the tone goes in the environment from the management standpoint, because I'd be your leader, in that situation.
I think that's the thing about ethics, though, is like ethics is one of those things that you can have them in place, but if everyone doesn't follow them or how you believe about them really comes out, because nobody's watched 100% of the time at any job. So it's really what you choose to do as far as like the lowest totem pole to the highest in an organization. You could kind of tell what people believe in, even regardless of what they're saying. Because I think
Yeah.
people say they talk the right talk, but
Yeah, I think that when it comes with ethical behavior, I feel like as your leader, you have to set a tone for everything because everyone's going to follow what you do. And if you aren't behaving the right way, everyone's just going to start doing the same thing and it's just going to turn into complete chaos, I feel like.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
wh- One thing it also touched on was like, public speaking and how the public can perceive you like through like the eyes of a follower or leader. Obviously our book's been talking um, a lot of a lot about that. It goes through all the different steps on rehearsal, the delivery, the organization. Well, I feel like a lot of places, you don't. It's kind of not really. You don't just go out and give public speeches as far as work goes. I mean, I get that some organizations might have that, but in all the jobs I've had, I've never really had to get up and give public speeches. Rather, it's just it's just kind of your daily job. Like take Starbucks for example, you're gonna have to talk to people.
Yeah.
And there's not really any time to like rehearse or plan out what you're going to say. You know, obviously you just kind of have to go with what you're doing and use your skills and, you know, your language and other, you know, cultural aspects that you've learned over the years to communicate with other people. Otherwise, you know, you shouldn't probably have a job anyways.
Yeah, I think keeping your cool is another thing when it comes to being like kind of stressed out. Sometimes like when I'm on the field, I'm in front of 10,000 people. So if something like upsets me and something's stressed out, I kind of still have to keep that face and pretend like I'm having a great time, even when I'm kind of like blowing up inside. I think keeping your cool is really important. And also being honest with your employees, because I feel like I've had a lot of managers in the past that would get mad at me for doing something and they wouldn't tell me what I was doing wrong, so I could not improve on what I was doing. So I feel like being honest with everyone that you work with is really important also.
Communication is just key, because especially with public speaking, I mean, you have people that speak for companies. So Starbucks is a great example when like Howard Schultz would go and talk to the press about something, or, you know, even now Kevin Johnson, but they say things and then people come in and they ask you about it and like you have no idea. So keeping your cool about it and not having, because with big organizations, like they don't always get the information down to everybody. It makes it really difficult to be able to support the company whenever you have no idea what you're supposed to be supporting or what it is that they're talking about.
Yeah, Starbucks has like I feel like their ownership has a really strong voice in like politics and everything. So I feel like that probably gets backlashed on y'all too. So I can see people coming in and being like, why don't y'all support the military? Being like, I don't know, it's not me.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be tough.
There's times years ago that like things would get announced like through CNN and through like the news way before they even got announced to stores. So customers would come in and be like, hey, we hear you're getting rid of this. And we'd be like, we have no idea. Like,
yeah, definitely.
A couple of years ago, because Howard was the one that was really into the politics. And once he started making comments, you'd have customers coming in and like complaining about like if they're boycotting Starbucks and stuff. And you're like, I'm not like talking for him. Like that's his choice. Like,
yeah, that just all goes back to the leaders from the highest degree, especially with a company like that, because they're just ultimately they're going to be the one shaping the whole environment. So it all goes to their organization, how they do things.
It's really any organization though, because I mean, Starbucks is just one that's super publicly known, but it happens with all organizations, even if everybody that coming in, like you can have employees that see something or maybe hear something that, you know, you don't have clarity on, and that communication is necessary to, like you said, keeping calm and composed, but then also being able to ask questions to the right people and understand what's happening in your organization.
Yeah. It all starts from the top.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So when it comes to our group assignment that we have going on, how did y'all want to divide that up?
That's a good question.
So I was going to maybe start a Google sheet and we could just add to it on our own, but it is due in 9 days. I didn't realize it was so quick.
Yeah, we should probably split that up as far as different sections go. The hard part's going to be the annotated bibliography.
Yeah.
That and writing out all the sources and doing that.
Where exactly are we supposed to find these sources? Are they just like on the internet? Like
they're going to have to be like some scholarly type source. So going through some sort of database like EBSCO or something like that is probably going to be our best bet.
And you submitted the topics, right?
Yeah, I submitted topics for our group.
Okay.
So we just have to find kind of sources that talk about those topics and then just annotate them and have us like.
Yeah, I kept the topics all kind of within one realm, so we can just, touch on those as needed. The hard part is going to be finding the original source.
Yeah.
The original place where it came from or the idea was invented, and then annotating that on a bibliography. That could be difficult to find that, but.
So we have 4. Do we want to kind of break apart one and then do one all together?
I think that's a good idea.
Probably, and then we can obviously get back together and check and adjust it and give not.
Sure.
Why don't we try to have like everything ready by like the 22nd or the 20th, so then we can like edit it and just have it ready. Did y'all want to do that, or just have kind of like a due date for all of us to get like our individual work done, and then we can kind of edit it together?
And then we could talk about it on the 23rd, which would be perfect.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah.
So Why don't we just text each other and figure out which ones we want to start on, and then we're kind of gonna have to go our own way for
Okay.
for a little bit, and then
I do have a game about to start, so I'm probably not going to be able to do it till like after our game. So I can work on it tonight, but I'm going to be kind of stuck till probably like 5 o'clock this around Eastern time.
Honestly, I don't care if you guys just like Cole. If you want to separate them and just assign them, I don't really care. Like
I don't care what I get, you know.
Kind of talking about it, yeah. Like just separate them,
Sure.
like choose one each, and then or choose one that's maybe an easier topic that we can all do together.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the best way to do it would probably be pick the hardest one that we're having trouble finding. I'll try to look at some information, and the harder one that I'm having, issues finding the information on. I say we do that as a group, and then we can divide the other three, obviously just between us.
I mean, too, if one of us ends up like getting one that's really tough, I'm sure we can communicate it and then switch them around. Yeah, but at least that gives us a starting point.
Yeah, and we should do the last one together, just so we know that one is the hardest one. Okay, sounds good. So I'll text you when I'm like kind of done with our game, and I'll like kind of get started on everything tonight too.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I'll see y'all next week.
Have a good one.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Bye.